This is the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast, a CFCP production with Mike and Laurent. Yeah, we're going. We've got Mike finally has a professional microphone. He's now holding a giant cock in front of him. One day I'm going to post all these videos without you knowing. It's going to have my dirty garage in the background.
It's going to have me picking my nose.
Definitely a cum rag out there somewhere that I have to find. Or it might be the cat's vomit. It's one or the other.
I'm trying desperately to find our review section because there was some news this week.
Oh, we got this. We've really made it to the big time now.
Whatever. I can find it on my phone. So yes, we are officially a big deal. We have officially been anointed in the podcast community because we got a negative review on
and a
Apple
very
Podcasts.
Good one. Very good.
A very good one. And I'll read it for the fans. 1 star.
Wait, you have to read the title.
The title. 2 idiots with a microphone. Now, at this point, bang on. Whoever this is, I could not agree more with
Thank you. We've never said we weren't. So thank you.
No, you are correct in your analysis so far.
She's only going to listen to 3 minutes, so hurry up.
Right. So 3 minutes into the second episode, there are already so many factual inaccuracies that it is clear these idiots, again, idiots, one, know nothing about women's sports. Now, to be clear, this was about the Alex Morgan, and it's all about
the laundry thing, yes.
The laundry thing that we did in the second episode, which, by the way, is our most listened to episode. So thank you to everybody out there.
Thank you.
And 2, have the hubris. What a dick measuring word to use, by the way. Hubris. Fucking put it back in your pants.
Well, it's a woman, so it's definitely not putting
100%.
Or maybe she's the type of woman to go, suck my dick. Like in
no, she would say suck my dick in this because she needs to be one of those that asserts how smart she is, sort of thing.
You know what? I probably know her, which is scarier.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Is that my sister? Simone, why would you do this to me?
That's so
Actually,
evil.
My sister would never use the word hubris. I don't think she knows what it is. She works in the ER and is a PA and doesn't know what the word hubris is.
You know what?
She knows it and wouldn't have the hubris to use it.
She is the opposite of hubris. So, okay, 1, know nothing about women's sports. 2, have the hubris to do an episode on women's sports and express strong opinions. How dare we, Laurent?
I know.
About how they should be run differently without following any said sports or doing any research. Now, that's half correct. I don't follow any women's sports. I will never follow any women's sports. With that said,
I do. I love Manchester City women.
You do. And I did a lot of homework for that one. So I kind of take umbrage with that part because I was like, actually, I looked up attendance numbers. I looked up how many U.S. women were playing overseas and where. That right there is more research than I've done for any of our shows.
I know. And listen, hey, we know. I watched Alex Morgan. She played this week against Manchester United. She didn't get any service because fucking Spurs don't have a person to get her the ball. She's got her son on the sideline talking to press.
It's like
press and Tobin Heath. It was cool to see the aunties there. So, hey, I fucking watched the goddamn game, cocksucker.
See that? We are fans. Well, one is a fan and one does research. But so it got me thinking.
Although they were playing in Brentford, which was weird. I don't know what they were doing. Or Barnet.
Yeah, they don't play. They only play in the stadium like once or twice. Like,
well, they don't have their own stadium. Well, City does.
They sort of do. I don't know exactly, but I know that they have.
City's having their worst season. We lost to Chelsea on 2 handballs because the handball rule's stupid. That's another topic for another day. Anyway.
Okay. Well, so and it got me thinking about one of the topics that I wanted to dive into today, and the international break is perfect timing for it. And it's. How cancel culture sort of showed up in sports 5-6 years ago and nobody noticed or said anything. And it was strange because at the
what example? What do you mean by cancel culture?
I've got examples. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So as you well know, there is an organization.
I know what you're going to talk about. Sorry. Go ahead.
There's an organization of fans that surmise the U.S. soccer fandom, if you will, and they're an organization known as the American Outlaws. Now,
right, but to be clear, this is like your entry into live sport soccer fandom. Okay.
Yes, without question. And all their mission statement was to unite and strengthen all U.S. soccer fans around the country, in factions and smaller local chapters, but also to create that European soccer fandom experience for American fans. And to be honest, it was sort of, it was fine, right? But it was actually, for a while, it was a great time. All you would do is you'd go to the local bar, you would get a couple of bucks off every pint if you wore some red, white, and blue stupid shit, which I had plenty of. And
I know. I find it as a symbol of oppression and destruction of indigenous peoples on this Columbus Day.
That's right. Happy Columbus Day. We both had off today because we're unemployed. We celebrated Columbus Day. So anyway, American Outlaws became quickly unsustainable, right? As they got bigger and bigger over the course of the country. And one of the things in early 2015, I was at a game, they created something called AO Watch. And what AO Watch was, it was basically a tattletale system within the supporters section. So
to not do what?
Well, imagine my surprise when we're playing Mexico, right? And by the way, even in the U.S., it's 75% Mexico fans. And we've got our section and we're going in this and that. Now, listen, I'm not going to say that I hate Mexicans. What I'm saying is I hate the 11 players in front of me wearing green, white, and red, and I want them to lose for the next 90 minutes. For the next 90 minutes, I don't like them, right?
Yeah, sport hate.
It's the same Schadenfreude we talked about last week, right?
Yeah.
So what they basically said was you will have songs about your team and you will have songs making fun of the other team. Now, they're not that bad because listen, I can think of 2, maybe 3 words and phrases right off the top of my head that even me would go, whoa, dude, calm down, right? Like, but
having a laugh.
well, not even that, right? It would be a little over the line. Nothing really.
See you next Tuesday stuff?
It would be more like I'm not gonna something about the opposite side of your front, let's say, right?
Uh-huh,
Being a little bit moist, shall we say? Right. So, but yeah, no, nobody was going to that extremes. There was a joke about Pancho Villa's army because that was like the Mexican version of American Outlaws. Who the fuck is Pancho Villa? Who the fuck is Pancho Villa?
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. But so you got this woke culture sort of infiltrate American Outlaws. And then you had what basically became as a giant tattletale system, like I mentioned.
God.
And yeah, and now you're eating each other alive within the same section. And it got to the point where I just washed my hands. It was one of those things where you got too close to it and you see how the sausage is made. And it was terrible. And I'll say this. I have a lot of very, very close friends who I met through the American Outlaws experience, and it was wonderful. I met a handful of the guys who ran the thing. But again, it got too big for them. They were not capable of handling it at that level. And then they panicked, right? I remember vividly the AO Denver chapter during the Women's World Cup in 2015. They tweeted, the women were playing Colombia. You can already tell where this is going. South American and Latin American players, both men and women, have a propensity, and Laurent can back this up,
for diving.
To dive, right? To be a little bit dramatic.
No, they play to win.
They play to fucking win, but they do it in a way, right? And they're rewarded for this misbehavior.
Yes, because if you want to argue about soccer, you should dive.
And it's not unique to them. Portuguese, Spain, France.
Everyone dives.
Everyone dives. And
if you don't dive, you're now trying to win.
The funny thing was, it was the thing for a while that the Americans didn't dive. It's like, because you're too stupid not to do it, right? So
yeah, dive.
So somebody wrote on Twitter, AO Denver account, whoever was running, like the admin goes, boy, the Colombian women are going down like the ground is made of a fine white powder. Now, to me, that's
pretty funny.
That's pretty good. And that's also not over the line. You could have gone a number of different ways there.
Sure.
That's pretty good.
It's funny. It's a little over the line. Okay. It's stereotypical. I
don't know. Yeah, right.
You want to talk about Escobar's rhinos? That would have been fine.
Right.
Hippos, excuse me.
So within that was like the second half of the game. By the time the game had ended, AO Denver had taken it down, had apologized for the tweet, had said that the guy who wrote the tweet was being spoken to, which, by the way, you're all grown adults. If there's a grown adult talking to me and chastising me, I'm either going to punch you in the face and break your nose, or I'm going to walk away because you have no domain over me. Knock it off.
Well, the other problem is, and this is like, we can go into like massive madness, right? Here's a news flash. Twitter's not real life.
Well, that's true.
It's really not. It's literally a place where journalists hang out. They see things on Twitter, they make them into news stories, and then fake life becomes real life because they made news on Twitter.
Right.
Twitter's not real life.
No, it's not.
Bullshit.
It's not. Although I live most of my day.
And the outrage machine is just turned up to 40,000 on Twitter. And, I don't care. But, yeah, that's bullshit, and it sucks. And I feel the same way. Like, when I went to the first season and a half of NYCFC, it was the Yankee Stadium security that just didn't seem to get soccer, or like didn't seem to remember that the entire bleacher bum culture was talking about people taking it up the ass. Like it was
specifically Red Sox fans. But yes.
But, they were just trying to bring this whole thing. Now, according to my friend Mike, another friend Mike, whose name is Egg to differentiate from you, Egg said that it actually got really Nazi back there, which made me excited. I was like, oh, our soccer culture is getting Nazi. We're going in the right direction, because that's where it starts. You need to have Nazis as soccer fans to sort of really get it going.
And that's our Hitler mention of the week. It always shows up. We never know when.
Well, well, because on the other side you have Portland, right? They're like the Red Guard. They literally put red arrows for something from Germany from the 30s, and they got in trouble for that too. So U.S. soccer tries to keep politics out of soccer, when in fact it's kind of the point. It all goes together. It's actually what makes culture in teams cultural, right? Like Liverpool's always super duper union, super duper left. You have like fascist teams. It's a lot of fucking Lazio where they do salutes. I mean, there's a lot of shit going down that Americans are just like, wow, that shit's crazy. You're telling me the death squads in the Serbian war were recruited from Red Star Belgrade Ultras? Yes, they were. And then they killed people. It's crazy because they all knew how to fight.
They were very good at that.
So anyway, that's just the beginning. So we're not there yet, but I'm glad we're getting there. Actually, this is a good sign in our soccer culture that we're getting weird and pretending to be hooligans. And you see fat old guys fight each other in New Jersey when Red Bull and NYCFC play.
Absolutely.
And it's like three guys.
One more point before we switch gears into something meaningful. If you are listening to this, angry reviewer, we would love to have you on the pod.
Yes, please. We're happy. We're happy to have anybody.
Tweet at us.
We'll take anyone.
Tweet at us. Find our Instagram. If you found our podcast, you can find us on Twitter, Squeaky Bum Pod, or our Instagram. Find us, yell at us there. We will invite you on, and you can yell at us, and we will laugh.
And you know what? Maybe you'll teach us about women's soccer. Explain to us why we're wrong. I'll be happy. Okay.
I would be happy to have a conversation about why my idea about playing for the laundry is wrong. But I mean, I'm open to it. So again, this is an open invitation to angry podcast review.
Yeah. And with that, we're talking about business. We have the big story in the Premier League was this leaked document called the Project Big Picture. Some real fucking ad wizards there.
It sounds like one of the ideas in one of the Austin Powers movies, like Preparation.
This one is Project Big Picture. I ranted on about it because I got excited, but I want to hear Mike's thing. I'll just read off the key points that I've got here. So this comes from Liverpool and Manchester United mostly, and it is a way to address some of the inequality in the football league between the Premier League and the other 92 teams. So it's called Project Big Picture. The Premier League would be reduced to 18 teams. The relegation system would be more in line with Germany, where 2 teams go up and down automatically like they do today. But the third place team would then be a playoff to play with the 16th place team. So the third team that would have gotten relegated normally in the Premier League would then be in a playoff with the other team. That actually allows for a team to stay up.
I was told there would be no math.
Yeah, I know. It's tricky. League Cup and Community Shield eliminated.
Which I support.
Disagree, because League Cup I love. I don't care. It's something.
We're going to win it this year, and it's going to be a terrible podcast episode. It's going to be a great podcast episode.
And then this part is where it's tricky. Controlling power being given to the 9 clubs in the league the longest. I don't understand what they mean by longest or how they figure that out. The Premier League would give 25% of its annual revenue to EFL clubs. Sounds really good, but they kicked 2 teams out of the league, so they're not really giving them anything.
Can I ask one question there? I was trying to read through this and understand it, but I thought that was going to be a temporary measure as a function of saving the EFL because of all the COVID shit that's been going on.
This is an opportunity to redo it the way they handle everything today.
Okay.
And then that last one, the Premier League would give $250 million to the EFL and $100 million to the FA. Now, the FA is, again, the FA is the overall organization that runs all soccer in all of England. So from grassroots all the way up, they have jurisdiction over that. The EFL represents the professional clubs of English football, except for the Premier League.
Right. So and there's one other major point. There's one other major point that you missed is the stadium give back clause or whatever it is.
What does that mean?
It means basically anybody in the last decade who has made stadium renovations or
right. Yeah,
they can get up to $250 million. Now, that's all a clause to try and get Tottenham and Everton involved.
Right, but as Americans, this is normal, right? This
Sure.
NFL has a system like this, a centralized system of helping people pay for stadiums because there's pooled revenue and it helps teams sort of offload debts. So a lot of this is altruistic and looks like a good idea, right? It's letting money that the Premier League makes, which it's really 80-20. Like the Premier League makes 80% of the revenue with 20 teams. And out of those 20 teams, 3 of them make all the money, right? And then it lets it redistribute. And that sounds all well and good and it's all cool and everything until you go, whoa. This controlling interest part, that's where it gets a little bit like, oh, I see. I give money so that I can control the league. Anyway, you go ahead and have your thing because I made a whole recording and I'm already contradicting myself.
No, yeah. No, I was actually going to lean on you for this part because I'd seen it. And like I mentioned the stadium thing because I think it's important as a function of there's just it's different arms of this, different clauses to try and get more buy-in from different clubs. The way that I read it originally yesterday was Liverpool and United want to take over the league. And I went, okay, that makes sense.
But that's a strong statement. They already run the league.
For the most part, but you know, so you've got teams like I mentioned, Everton and Spurs, who are either have just completed or about to have these big stadium projects that are going to cost just about $1 billion. I read that Spurs could get 125 million back. So that's going to get Daniel Levy's attention.
So to me, you know, you have to sort of know this is not new, right? This is a constant push that happens since basically television money got into sports. This is the same story that happened in the US with Regional Sports Network. It happened, if you know the history of media in sports, essentially they were at this low level, cable comes around and then boom, everything takes off. So it's the same story in the Premier League. It's not a coincidence that Premier League starts in 1992. It's when Sky, which is their cable equivalent, takes off because England's poor. It took 10 years for them to get it there. Anyway, yes, this is a power grab. It makes sense. Right. That owners of these teams control them. There's no central authority. So if you have 20 teams that are after their own particular self-interest, if there's no central authority like a commissioner who's running a league, because the Premier League is not a league, it is a holding company to sell television rights. Yeah. The guy who runs the Premier League, his sole job is to get high cost for renegotiating a deal. They don't represent the league in and of themselves. They literally are just a sales guy. So Richard Scudamore, who used to do that before, was killer, and they have another guy. I don't even know who it is.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But they have not really successfully replaced Scudamore yet, have they? Because they
had a woman, and she left, and something else happened.
They had like 3 people leave in like a year. Anyway, it's not important. Yeah. That's really not the relevance.
So what's happening is you have individual teams that are trying to grab control over this money that they spent. And as an American who lives in sports like this seems completely normal. Why is this weird? Now,
I think the thing that I keep thinking when I read through this, like I mentioned, they're trying to get Everton and Spurs involved and all that stuff to get a controlling interest. All they need is a majority, and they'll be able to do this.
Right now, in order for something to pass in a Premier League, you need 14 votes.
Of 20. Okay, 20. So 2/3 vote.
Right? So right now, the six, what were they calling them the six? But it's United. Sorry, let's just go through the table because it's basically who it is. It's Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Tottenham, and some 6 team. Oh, who's the Everton? 6th one? No, it's not. There's a 6th team. Chelsea, right. There you go. Chelsea. Those teams essentially get outvoted, and they're the high revenue teams, right? Yep. United, Liverpool, because of the virtue of their history, still make a lot of money. They've lived it. They earned it by playing it on the field. Chelsea and Manchester United. Arsenal are sort of like the middle child, and Arsenal and Spurs are weirdly the middle siblings in this group, and then the nouveau riche, the 2 ones who just have unlimited money, apparently. One as a money laundering scheme, and one as a country laundering scheme. So Chelsea for money laundering, Manchester City for cultural laundering. I don't care. It's money. I don't care. Yeah. My team wins. And that's really where those sides line up, right? But if you go to 9 teams to control the vote, then you get Villa, then you get Everton, who have been historically big teams in the Premier League, right? And if you can, English football history as well,
right? But if you can kind of market this to a Villa and say, hey, you know that you guys
You're
are
a big boy now,
right? You've been scraping to get by. Now you're going to get a bigger piece of the pie, and that's going to help you.
But here's historically, let's just be clear with that was Aston Villa. The last 5 years are the anomaly. Historically,
Yes.
they've been a club that's there.
Well, right? But for every club that's there, look at Leeds, same thing, right? Like they've been struggling for a while.
But Leeds had been relegated. They were a famous club, but they were not a big revenue club.
But what I'm saying, and this is true probably for Newcastle, is in this category someone.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You've got those sort of now also Rands who you're like, here's how you can come back and punch above your weight against the big boys, right?
Now, this hurts the bottom half of the league a lot. Like it helps everyone in the championship and below, like your I don't know, your
Colchester United.
No, not even. More like your Nottingham Forests, your Middlesbroughs, but your teams that are in the Premier League today, they lose a lot of power. So Burnley, West Ham, all these sort of middle of the road clubs who aren't in that top 9 are sort of yo-yo clubs. They go up and down. Maybe your Norwiches, because they're also getting rid of the parachute payment. So that's where this, which if you don't know this, when you come into the Premier League, you get a year of the Premier League TV money. Then you have a degrading amount of money. So when you go into the championship, you're flush. The job is to try and get you back up. And the goal of that was so that you didn't just like lose all the money and try and spend to stay in. So it was a less of a thing. So teams have been living going up and down, right? Burnley was doing it.
Norwich was doing it for a while.
Norwich just is that.
Yeah.
They go up and down. But it is a power grab. It is a way to share revenue. I think it's too radical. It feels like a Trumpian balloon, like an idea balloon. Like, hey, what about this? And then you see where their reaction is.
Yeah.
I think that they'll lose on the controlling interest piece. Maybe that might be a problem. But I get why the teams are doing it. Like, I don't know why. Like, to me, the thing that's interesting is the English punditry reaction. It's just like, it's outlandish. It's the worst thing ever. I'm like, what the fuck? What sport are you watching? Like, what do you think is going to happen? So I don't know. I don't understand it. It's like, I'm never going to a Premier League game again. Don't go.
Yeah, no, you'll be fine. And they'll be fine without you.
And the other
predict
piece
this
is
for me.
You have this wonderful league and pyramid system that goes. You can go top to bottom. Like, you could make a new team and love it more than anything in the whole world and watch it grow. It's conceivable. It can be done.
Hypothetically, yeah. Hashtag United.
Yeah. Well, more like hashtag United. Exactly. Don't forget to hashtag it.
So that's right. So, okay. So then predict for me 5 years from now, after this has been, in the whole process has been going through, half a decade goes by, and hashtag United is the greatest team in Europe. And obviously,
they would still be pretty far away, even at.
No, I know.
But 30 years from now, sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure. But even 5 years into the future, are we into the United, Liverpool, Arsenal, 3-headed monster where everybody else is separated, right? And pick whoever 3 you want, right? But like, is the separation that much more? Are we kind of creating what is in Bundesliga and in La Liga, where the strength of the Premier League right now, at least,
is the revenue sharing?
It's from a neutral fandom perspective, is that Sheffield United can come up and finish 9th. So,
but that's because they have a strong revenue sharing system, right? The TV contract is shared between the 20 teams.
Yes.
Manchester United may have their own TV channel, but that TV channel is international. They make the revenue that is making the Premier League so strong. It's actually strong top to bottom. Like, if we went through every team, we could find 2 guys at least that are just like, yo, that dude's good. Or like teams coming up, right? All of a sudden Villa's up one season, a season later, they just beat Liverpool 7-2. That's like, holy shit, that just happened, right?
Right, but are we worrying, like, use Villa as a great example. In 5 years, are we kneecapping the Villas and the Sheffield Uniteds of the world, right? Like, are we making the league less compelling because that middle chunk of teams isn't as competitive and isn't as good?
I don't, unless you do like deep revenue sharing and you get rid of the cutthroat competitiveness of relegation, you're always going to have a split, right? It's really hard to get up into that Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United dominance. Like even my team, right? Manchester City has spent $3 billion on players, has been in the Champions League now for almost 10 years straight, won 3 leagues. We're not even close to as big as Liverpool.
No. But I'm not saying
United.
I'm not saying
I'm just trying to give scale. Like it's
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is
group.
yes, but then the from what I can tell, and maybe I'm wrong, the gaps get further apart than with this. No, because what happens is, like you said, the middle back end of
the gaps get further apart because they have no say. Like they could be a Premier League meeting where they go, you know what? Revenue is now going to go 50% to the first team, 30% to the next team, 20% to the third place, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the other 20% goes to the rest of the teams.
Right.
Because the top 9 can now vote. That's the problem.
It's the overreaching of the executive branch. Thank you, Barack Obama.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you give, now they have to argue with each other, right, to get those 9 votes.
But only the 9
you could really, really fuck the bottom half of the league. Right now, those teams really hold on to the parity. And the story I heard was that the straw that broke the camel's back was the 5 substitution thing that came out of the restart in the Premier League, where you had 5 subs, but in 3 occasions. And that was to help players who are coming back. They're playing 4 games in a week, give it more things. Sure. The lower half of the league was like, I ain't got 15 players.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck y'all. I don't have to play extra games. I'm playing once a week. You guys don't get your extra two extra subs for Liverpool are the best players on 90% of the team.
They're Origi and Diego Jota.
Right, exactly.
Or whoever they had last year, right?
Who would be maybe not Origi, but who would be starters in any league outside of this league, right? So that's where it's coming from. And that was where they were like, you know what? Enough with this bullshit. Why do I have to listen to fucking, Burnley? And why do I not know any other goddamn teams? I need to look at the table because it's making me mad.
Weston, I don't know. I got you. Why do I have to listen to Southampton and bitch and moan and complain that James Ward-Prowse is only playing once a week and we don't need another guy off the bench?
Right.
See, there's a good example for you. You're welcome.
I got you. Why do I have to listen to West Brom? They just were here. They're up and down. Why do I have to listen to fucking Newcastle and douchebag fucking Mike Ashley trying to just steal my money because he's a scumbag? Or why do I have to listen to Fulham? Like, why do I have to listen to any of these teams? I am this league. My team put it on its back. It's me, Manchester United saying this, Liverpool saying this, Arsenal saying this. It's us going around the fucking world on planes that we pay for and selling all the shirts that are putting this league everywhere in the world. Fuck you people.
Right. So it's kind of like, to put it in a North American perspective, right? Like it's as if the Toronto Maple Leafs or the New York Yankees were like, I am this fucking league. You don't matter without me. We're gonna do what I want to do. Which they're right. Well, maybe not the Leafs.
They all the teams at some point in the 50s and 60s did give it up. Right. Yeah. So the famous thing with Pete Rozelle in the NFL was like he went to the Maras for the Giants. It was like, just let us negotiate TV rights altogether. The league will lift as a group. Right. Because he didn't want to have what happened with baseball. Right, where local TV revenue is what drives baseball. And the only reason that you have more parity in baseball now is because C-League, a small market owner, negotiated the online rights fee to be equally distributed. So all that BAM money is equal. Even though the Yes Network and the LA Dodgers Network still drives a lot of revenue, he made sure that the future money, when everything goes online, there will be a fight.
Well, that and a soft luxury, a soft salary cap known as the luxury tax, right? So
also the entirety of the last 50 years designed to stop the Yankees from winning the league.
That's correct, and they've been mildly successful.
Been very successful.
Yeah, we haven't won one in 11 years. I'm pissed about it.
Again, this gives me more hatred for the NFL. Why does everyone think the NFL is the league to be? Just because they just because they make the most money, they're also the most evil. They're also the most plantation sport in the goddamn universe.
Because culturally, they have embedded themselves in American lives as much as the Premier League has in England. They've succeeded.
Right, but they could have done it. Actually, the thing that they've done, and I think Rozelle was a genius, by the way. Not because I like the product. He knew, and they still hold on to this, most of our games on over-the-air television. It would be like if the Premier League was on BBC, and it's not.
Right.
It would be like if all Major League Baseball was still game of the week, Thursday, Saturday afternoon on NBC, but there were no other games, right? That's how you really want it. And you control that story, right? But now there's just so many games on it. You just don't even care. You're like, oh, there's a game on. It's not a big deal, right? Like Sunday Night Baseball, I used to go home and watch it. Speaking of respect, Joe Morgan died today.
Oh, that's right.
I used to watch Sunday night, go to my brother's house and watch fucking TV of the day. The Sunday Night Baseball game with John Miller was an event. Now it doesn't mean anything. So
no, you're right.
Anyway, I think really, if I really want to put a bow on this, my long-term view is, should Europe continue as an entity? A little shaky.
That's not a bubble. That's a shotgun into a new conversation. But anyway,
but I'll bring it back to it. I think there'll be a Super League. I think the Champions League at some point will simply break off and just be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And go to court and sue UEFA and sue whatever and be like, this is what's going to happen. Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter, Bayern Munich, and Borussia Dortmund. We're starting our own league.
Yep.
Bye. And that will be the league. And that will fucking that will be what they threaten. If you don't give me this, I have these guys. We're ready to go.
Yep. It's so interesting to me that they're so close to it.
But UEFA will say, we'll kick your players out of the tournaments, and the players will be like, I don't give a fuck. They're going to pay. We have a TV deal in line that's 50 times what any of these things are, and we're ready to go. We will be the biggest league in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Period.
And if you think that if they were to even try and hold some like international value over them, like you can't play for your country if you're doing this, they'll make another league there too.
Yeah.
They'll just fucking make one up.
I mean, it is some of the things that would be for, like, if I owned a team, and I've heard Don Garber from MLS say this, the idea that there's some extra national group that controls your league and your progress and your rules, it's got to drive you crazy. Like, I know MLS wants to change the rules and do replays and change and do this, but they have to go by IFAB and, you want to do all this stuff, but we have to go through UEFA. That's not us. We got to go through FIFA. Like, do you think Premier League wants that handball rule? They'd be like, no, fuck you. But you have to go through the same rules because everyone's playing, right? So I think if they went to a Super League, they could really control and change the game. And maybe, a lot of old timers will be like, this is bullshit. But for Americans, we'll be like, that looks like what I would do if I were going to start a league.
Yeah, I mean, it will be every week we'll have 4 absolute insane matchups. You'll have something along the lines of like Messi, Ronaldo twice.
Right, but it won't mean anything after a while. That's the problem, right? That's the problem is the exclusivity.
But those first 5 years, though, oh my God.
Yeah.
Hook it right into my veins.
Yeah. No, and then you have to find a way to have people play in and out. That's the tricky part too.
Right. That's what I was thinking about. As a Tottenham fan who is going to be on the fringe forever.
You would be on the fringe forever. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't know, right? If your stadium opens up and you're able to get that revenue source going, and from an in-game revenue perspective, you can get to Arsenal, which is the number one in-game revenue experience in England, in the world probably. They're fucking expensive. Then you might be able to compete and then try and have your own things. But I think the competition in Europe is really good. And you know what? My saying, and I wrote in my notes and in my rant, was just like, FA, EFL, all those 72 teams, do better.
Yeah.
Make more money. Like,
well,
I watch the championship, right? I watch English championship football and I see the international package. They literally have the same intro for 3 or 4 years in a row. Like, they're not spending money to make a compelling package. Like, if one thing, this is going to go even deeper, and I don't care. The thing with like watching #United, right? There's this young guy, they do half-hour things of a League One, of the 10th tier of English football, right? It's compelling. There's a story there. The football is not what's driving it. It's the narrative. You can take the championship and make it a really, really good story.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have to, one of the things the players have to do, they have to start shedding all the skin of just like, stop being boring. Let them make a story. Every season is behind the scenes. Every team is behind the scenes. You make it into, oh my God, this local kid who is 10 years old, we're now on year 3. He's now making the first team. The EFL could do that. They're just not, it's just old people who who just, what do you mean it's not football? I'm like, make it football.
Like, and I think of it a lot how
Sutherland show.
Oh God, that made me sad just thinking about it again.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
It's so good though.
It's great. I think of it how Major League Baseball uses the minor leagues or whatever they're going to use, the Atlantic League now, right? They test shit out. They get weird. This whole second base in extra innings thing, they didn't pull that out of their ass. That was in minor leagues for the last 3 years. They had data. They saw what it did, right? So I think what you're saying is you do that and you make the lesser products more compelling. Guess what? The Liverpools, the Uniteds, the Tottenhams, the Arsenals.
They'll do it too.
They're going to do it too.
Right. Anyway, I think we're ranting and raving and going on to a crazy place. Let's wrap it up. I have to go give Aveline a bath, which is creepy.
Here. Oh, that's okay. Well, that you're going to put that on YouTube at one point too, huh?
No. I'm not. I took one picture of Aveline taking a bath once, and one of my mom's crazy friends were like, pedophiles are going to come after you. I'm like, I'm in my house. Don't, like, they're not masturbating to 3-year-olds. Well, maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
Hitler.
Anyway, so Thursday, we are back with previews for the weekend, and we're really excited about it. We're going to have Jesse Marshall from The Athletic on, our first guest. We're very, very excited to have him. He's like I mentioned last week, he is a West Ham fan. We are going to have him on, so look out for that.
We've got to try not to talk.
And we got to let him talk. He's much smarter than us. We have to go through a lot of games, right? We've got Tottenham, West Ham, which is going to be fun for me and Jesse. We've got City versus Arsenal, right? Is that
correct? Right?
Liverpool and Everton. So there's a really, really great slate.
A lot of good games. A lot, like a ton.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday. We'll go through all the games, and we'll have Jesse on as well. So look out for that.
And, of course, my favorite that I'm going to cover the most, the loser leaves home match, Burnley versus West Brom.
Yes. Yeah, Burnley, West Brom, right. So that's it for me, Laurent. What else you got?
That's it. I've talked too much. I've gone on a deep end. And please, our friend who gave us a negative review, please, we want you to be on the show.
That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. This was a crap football, crap pundit production. We will return on Mondays and Thursdays for the Premier League season. We will talk about soccer and other things that interest us. Mike is crazy. Laurent is insane. That's why it works.